All right, everybody. How y'all doing this afternoon? We've got a little bit of stuff to churn through the rumor mill. And look, you guys know how I feel about the rumor mill. I often stay away from it. I occasionally go into it. Generally speaking, I try to go into it when I think the rumor is about something so significant that I can't ignore it. And I think this qualifies. So we got a little something earlier today, a few hours ago. And even though we don't have anything concrete yet, in fact, we actually have some, you could call it contradictory information. I want to make a video about this because we've talked about this some lately on this channel in stream and in the videos. This idea that the Seattle Seahawks are going to be sold at some point in the not too distant future. So to sum it up, there's a theory that some people have that the Seattle Seahawks can't be sold until a certain date. We don't know exactly when that date is, but the theory is that as part of the stadium agreement with the city of Seattle, at that time, Paul Allen, but now Jody Allen, had to agree they would not sell the team no matter what for at least X amount of time. We just didn't really know how long X was. Was it going to expire in 2023, 2024, 2025? We didn't know. I mean, honestly, we didn't even really know if that was the case. Nobody could confirm it or deny it beyond any reasonable doubt. So a lot of people had the theory that Jody Allen was going to sell as soon as she could, but she just couldn't yet. And that's why things were kind of hanging in limbo. Well, this is probably the most concrete thing we've seen yet in terms of this concept of Jody Allen selling the Seahawks. So we had this tweet from Jason Puckett earlier today reporting from John Casano that the Blazers and Seahawks are going to be put up for sale soon, which is required in the trust left by Paul Allen. Now, I'm not sure if he's implying that the fact that the teams get sold is in the trust, or if the fact that it can't be sold until X amount of time is in the trust. But the implication is that one of the things in the Paul Allen trust when he passed away was that the teams must be sold. Maybe he knew Jody wouldn't really be into it. I don't know. But regardless, this is probably the most concrete thing we have yet. John says Jody Allen wants to maintain a piece of the Seahawks if she can as well. So minority owner, minority stake. You see that all the time. I think there are a bunch of people who own minority stakes of the Sounders, Drew Carey. Russell Wilson might actually. I'm not sure. I think he does still. But regardless, this is the most compelling thing that we've seen yet about this idea. I've talked about the Jody Allen stuff on this channel before, but it's always been theoretical. This is the least theoretical that it's been. Now, this is a report from one person, a relatively credible person, but I should certainly point out here that the league says there are currently no indications of that happening. The league source tells the News Tribune no indications of the Seahawks being put up for sale soon. So that doesn't necessarily mean that they're saying it won't happen. They're saying they have no indications that it will happen, which is very different. But here's the thing, right? It kind of makes sense, and I'm going to stand by this stuff. Jody Allen, I'm not going to say that she's been a bad owner. I actually think Paul Allen passed away in 2019, by the way. So I think this tweet is off by a year. I believe he passed in 2019. But she's been the owner for, in summation, less than 3 seasons. So to say anything too definitive about her abilities as an owner is probably jumping the gun a little too much. A lot of people are not happy with her right now because she kept Pete and John and enabled them to trade Russell Wilson. There's definitely some people out there who would be happier to see us move on. My position when it comes to a sports team owner is quite simply, I need the owner to have the money and be willing to spend it. And I need the owner to know what they know and know what they don't know. Knowing what they don't know is actually probably more important than even knowing what they know. And Jody Allen, I don't know if she has the drive and the passion and the same desire to make the team great that Paul Allen did. Paul Allen, he wanted to make this team great. He bought it. He immediately went to work on doing whatever it took to get the team up to the top. And since Paul Allen bought the team had been one of the more successful teams in the league. They'd been to the Super Bowl 3 times. They'd won a Super Bowl, many division titles, many trips to the playoffs, multiple very successful head coaching tenures from future Hall of Fame coaches. So I don't know if Jody has that, but she knows what she doesn't know. And what I mean by that is she doesn't understand football, and she knows that. And I will say this, I don't get the indication that she's ever going to try to prove that narrative wrong. I never got the sense that she was going to try to take control of the team's operations. And that's the bad owner. That's the owner you really don't want. You really don't want the owner who thinks they know football. You don't want the Jerry Jones, because you can't fire that guy. If you have an owner who thinks they understand football and can run the team, and they're bad or they make mistakes, then they're not getting fired because they have no boss to fire them. And that was what made Paul Allen so great. He wanted to win very badly, but he was also willing to hire people who knew football way more than he did to run the team. Now, he can sit back and look at the team and go, okay, these results are not meeting my standard. I'm going to go get somebody else. That's why you saw somebody like a Jim Mora Jr. get fired after one season. But the point is, he was willing to acknowledge the fact that he was not the genius. He was not the guy who was going to be able to build a great team. He was going to have to hire the guy to do that, and he was willing to do that, and that's what made Paul Allen a great owner. Jody Allen seemed like she was willing to do that as well. The issues with Jody Allen would just be maybe she wasn't quite... A lot of people have said in recent years that, oh, well, Paul Allen would never have allowed Pete Carroll to keep his job after what happened last year. And maybe that's true, and that's certainly a strike against her. And yet, I will say this in her favor, and some people are not going to agree with me on here, that's fine. She did empower John and Pete to trade Wilson. And what I mean by that, when I say that, is as an owner, one of your main priorities is that the team is profitable for you. And Russell Wilson, regardless of what level he plays at, makes the team more profitable. He gives the team more primetime games. He makes it more likely their games will get viewers. He gets people's attention just by being on the team. It doesn't really matter if he's the best quarterback in the league, or the 8th best, or the 69th best, or the 2nd best, or the 420th best. Whatever he actually is, he makes you more money by being there. So the fact that you allow Pete and John to trade him, it does show that, hey, you're willing to let your guys make football decisions and not trump them with your business demands of, no, I want to play in 4+ primetime games this year. I'm not going to let you guys trade Wilson because I need that extra primetime money. No. So on that level, I kind of respect it, even though I don't know if I agree with it or not. But there you go. So what I'm really trying to get at here is that I'm not here to say that Jody's done a terrible job as an owner. Personally, I would have liked to have wiped the slate clean this offseason and get everyone out of here. Pete gone, John gone, Wilson gone, Wagner gone. We did half of that. I would have liked to have completely wiped the slate clean. We got halfway there. And you know what? Sitting here right now, we had a great draft. We had an awesome draft. I loved our draft. So maybe this will work out. Maybe this will end up being for the best. But nevertheless, I do look at Jody Allen and go, does she actually have the drive and the passion for this team to be great the way that Paul did? And even though I don't think it's fair to say she's done a terrible job, the answer to that question is probably not. And if you could go get somebody like, a lot of people are throwing around Jeff Bezos, some people are saying Elon Musk, that's probably kind of a pipe dream at this point. But whoever it may be, if you can get somebody who's going to be a little more driven, who's a little more hands-on in the sense of making the team great, while also willing to accept that they're not the guy who's ultimately going to be able to make the team great, then of course I'm for it. And look, if she is selling the team, then on some level that must indicate one way or the other that she doesn't have a ton of interest here. And this might also be part of the reason why we keep Pete around, we keep John around. We want some infrastructure in place for when the team sells. So a couple different ways to look at this. At the end of the day, if the Paul Allen Trust required the Seahawks to be sold from Jody Allen's control, then that indicates that maybe he knew that Jody wasn't going to be interested in running the team long term, which if that's how he feels, that's probably true. So there you go. I think that basically runs it all down. I welcome it. If Jody's not interested in running the team long term, then nobody should make her. And if we can get somebody in here who has the money to spend and the intelligence to, like I said, know what they know and know what they don't know, let's do it. But we'll see where this goes. This is going to play out for probably a few years here. That's it for the meat of this video. Quick note that I want to throw in here at the bottom, at the very tail end of this video. We did get some word from the league on roster rules. They are maintaining the rules from last season. 90-man roster goes down to 85 after first preseason game, 80 after the second game, and 53 after the third game. So they carry over all the stuff from last year. And practice squads are likely to stay at 16-man squads. So I wish they would hurry up and extend the size of the actual 53-man roster to like 55. But this is all welcome news outside of that. All right, see you guys later. Go Hawks, and let me know what you think.